ayahuasca ceremony and sexual intercourse. I must say, not two subjects I expected to be addressing together in the same. Planning to engage in some sexual activity while on ayahuasca. Not a subject I ever expected to be looking at, and yet it comes up fairly often in news feeds, forum discussions, and even at ceremonies. So much so I decided I may as well clear the air and give my thoughts on it. First of all, if you're looking for a strict ruling, guidelines, not going to find it. There are no real rules on a universal scale about our conduct in any way that we usually look for rules and guidance and want laws and regulations about things. So I'm not going to give you a hard and fast principle. If you are a purist, if you believe that the way things have been done is the way that they should be done, if you believe that someone else has more knowledge, access to information that you don't, or knows the way things should be done, by all means, go to that person. Probably in this case that would be a shaman, whoever is conducting the actual ceremony, and get their opinions on what you should and shouldn't do, and follow their guidelines. If you have that belief system that that person is the authority and is your guide in this instance, it will only enhance your experience and allow you to go deeper into it and get more results if you feel you have correctly participated or acted in this instance. If you're not that person and you really think that somehow this will be a doubling up of your pleasure, not only will you be having a spiritual groovy time, you will also be able to combine it with one of the most physically ecstatic activities that you can partake in. If you're really considering this, you've either done other entheogens, substances, partaken of things that put you in a really good mood, and you think that ayahuasca will be like that, or you're just really sexually focused and want to combine sex with everything. I mean, this is kind of like asking, what about sex while listening to a Disney musical? The two go together about that well. There are signs, clues, metaphors built right into language that give us a lot of clues. The fact that ayahuasca is spoken of as the vine of the soul, the death vine, and the personality that most people encounter in there is spoken of as the sacred mother, kind of gives you the idea of the energy around the ceremony. The fact that the traditional shaman who facilitate these ceremonies look at it as sacred and holy and as a medicine for healing and curing and going through a process, learning and repairing. Those are the kind of concepts that mentally most people associate with an ayahuasca ceremony. If you went to a psychologist or the Holy Mother, if you went to talk to your own mother, if you have that respect for her and her opinions, or a Holy Mother of some functionality, while I would agree that your sexuality as a main player, a main area of life of concern, would be a subject you may want to explore and get advice on and get insights into you probably would not actually partake in the act of sex with that person or in the presence of that person. And to my energy association with the ceremonies of and the physical effects and the mental space I get into with ayahuasca, I would say that those language metaphors and that viewpoint holds. It's not an appropriate or even an enhancing amalgamation of activities to put together. That said, an entheogen itself, or something that is a psychedelic that's a little more pleasant, that I do associate with pleasure, say mushrooms, psilocybin, ones I'd have know much about, but I've heard it can be quite neutral, mescaline, maybe LSD if it lasted long enough. I don't think DMT would work. If you want to try doubling up in that regard, that might be more what you're thinking of or expecting when you ask that question of combining sex with ayahuasca. Ayahuasca itself, most people are a little too physically distraught and mentally absorbing information. And even in my own personal experience, while I have certainly explored the subject of my sexuality while under the influence, and it might have temporarily brought out certain desires in me, I really don't think it would have went very well if I had tried to act on or follow through with that situation. So, in summary, while I think society in general is a little too stern and serious and hung up about many things, especially our sexuality, there is appropriate pairings, like wine and foods, like people and activities, and I really can't find a good juxtaposition, a good association in my own energy with having sex on ayahuasca. If you can, please be considerate of the other people partaking in the ceremony. They probably don't want to see that, don't want to be influenced necessarily in that way while they are having their experience. So first off, you probably need to plan ahead and make specific arrangements during the ceremony, and you probably want to be fairly experienced partaker to know how it's going to affect you gastrointestinally and mentally and your partner before you would carry that out. If it still seems like a good idea to you, no judgment, go for it, but it's really not a group love-in thing happening with ayahuasca, generally speaking. Most people who are attracted to ayahuasca have kind of a no pain, no gain mentality, feel that the hero's journey to healing or enlightenment or whatever they're looking for requires a certain element of sacrifice, discomfort, seriousness, and focus, and it's just not the same energy as, let's go behind this rack in Walmart and make out. The two just aren't really the same. But again, if you're looking for a challenge and you've had sex everywhere else, go for it. But if you're really thinking that you've onto a great idea that would automatically just be wonderful, probably not. Take care.